Water this morning. I have my new Easter mug too. If you watched my video, you'll see that I got a new mug at Easter. It's so cute and I'm utterly obsessed with it. Like, look at it. Look at it. It's got mushrooms, gnomes, flowers. It has everything that makes my little heart happy on it. So, this is my new favorite mug. What are we talking about this week? I read a lot this week because we've been down bad with the flu. If you saw my Easter video, Sunday night at some point, my daughter started feeling not well. And I thought that it was just like being in the car all day on Sunday or something like that. No, she legitimately had the flu, and it was a really, really, really bad one. Like, we had to go to the ER to get IV fluids. So I had 5 hours of reading sitting in the ER as well. So, 2 reviews this week. The first one is Elin Hildebrand's 28 Summers. This book left me wrecked. I don't know what I was expecting. Like, I think I was expecting a love story. I was expecting some form of a happy ending, maybe. Maybe not super happy, but something like traditional love story. No, ma'am. I'm not going to spoil the ending. But what the book is about is it takes place over 28 summers. Because Mallory has a brother, and her brother's friend named Jake comes and visits for Labor Day weekend for her brother's like bachelor party type thing. But everybody ditches them except for Mallory and Jake. And they end up hooking up and realizing that they have feelings for each other on that first Labor Day. But Jake has a very complicated life back home. And Mallory has just recently come into this freedom of her life on Nantucket Island. Her aunt passed away and left her this beautiful cottage. She's loving the freedom of not really having to like go to work every day at this point. She does eventually become a teacher. But at the beginning, she's kind of just living her best life on this cottage in Nantucket. And so they watched this movie called Same Time Next Year, I believe. And it's about it's like an oldies movie from the 50s or something. That's about a couple who meets up the same weekend every single year. And they decide that that is what they are going to do. Every Labor Day weekend, Jake is going to come to Nantucket Island and visit Mallory. No matter what happens in their lives. No contact throughout the year. No texts, no calls, no nothing. They don't really have this event. I think the beginning part happens in like the 80s, so there's not even like Facebook or anything at that time. But you do see their relationship transition into social media, into things like that. And throughout the 28 years that they spend together, Mallory has a child, Jake gets married and has a child, but they still continue to meet up every Labor Day weekend. And it's a very difficult book because on one hand, it's a beautiful love story between Mallory and Jake. And you see how much they love each other and you see how much they care about each other. On the other hand, they are being awful to a lot of people. Jake's wife she at first is just like a lawyer, then becomes a political figure, then becomes a senator. Eventually, I think she runs for presidency towards the end of the book. And then Mallory is just breaking all the hearts on Nantucket Island because she's not really emotionally available. She loves Jake. And it's just a lot to unload. It's made me feel so many different things, like swoon for their happy moments, but also like ooh and cringe during the moments where she's lying to her whole entire family, including her brother who is best friends with Jake. And he eventually finds out, and it causes a lot of problems. And that's devastating in its own right. And then, so I have to do the ending, because if I don't do the ending, you won't get the full justification of this novel. So if you have not read this book and you are thinking of reading this book, stop here. Like, turn it off, read the book. Highly recommend it. It was incredible. If you've read the book, let's keep going. Or if you're not going to read the book and you just want to know what happens, Mallory ends up getting cancer. Like deadly cancer, hospice, the whole 9 yards, passes away. And it's like, in retrospect, she spent so much of her life pining for Jake. Like, she would spend like so much of her life just wishing it was Labor Day weekend, counting down until it was Labor Day weekend. Cannot wait until it's Labor Day weekend. And it just so frustrated me, because Jake has this super full life when he's not with her. Well, yes, he misses her and he wishes he had more time with her. His life is very full outside of this Labor Day weekend situation. He has a wife, a massive career, a successful life, a daughter he loves. Mallory does eventually have a child with another friend of her brother's, but they don't have a continuing relationship. Like, they decide to just be friends and co-parent the child. So she does at least get her son, Link is his name. But there's a good portion of her life that Mallory is just pining for Jake and counting down the years and years and years until Labor Day weekend. And that is depressing as hell to me. Could you imagine living your life with only like one great weekend a year? That's so sad. And it's a choice that Mallory makes. Mallory actively makes the choice to wait for him every year and only enjoy. She has relations, but they're not like successful or good really, because her heart's not in it. She does have men that she spends time with and has fun with, but it's not the same. And I know she thought she had way more time than she did, because that's what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks they've got 80, 90 years of life, 100 if you're really lucky. And she got 50. She got half a life. And in that half of life, she spent 28 years of it pining for Jake. That is sad. It is so, like, you leave this book thinking, am I living every single day to its fullest? Am I letting go of situations that aren't for me so that I can move on to something that is for me? Because I have been in situations where I've wanted more out of a situation and it didn't go anywhere. And I could not imagine if I would have forced some of the situations and never ended up meeting my husband. And oh my gosh, like, I wouldn't have this wonderful, wonderful life that I have now, that I love. I wake up every day in love with my husband. I have a child who is just brilliant and fantastic and growing up right before my eyes and has so many goals and dreams. I have a home of my own. I'm going to Europe this summer. Like, I wouldn't have all that if I would have tried to force situations prior to my husband, if that makes any sense. Because I thought I was madly in love with a situation where I would have had to wait for him, type of deal. And had I done that and never met my husband, oh my gosh, I would have just wasted my life. I would have never had my daughter. So, in conclusion, read 28 Summers. It's brilliant. I hope if you've watched this far, you've already read 28 Summers. Because, yeah, it is brilliant. It's incredibly well done. It's everything you're looking for in a heart-wrenching love story, where maybe it's not all ribbons and bows and heart glitter. So, give it a watch, or give it a read. Also, Evolved Review. You can catch me this week on Evolved Review or Entertainment Evolved. doing The Mandalorian. I think we did, gosh, episodes 4, 5, and 6 of season 3. So you can check me out there. If you haven't liked and subscribed on this channel yet, please do so. It means so much to me. I love you guys so much. Have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you on Saturday.